on it. Can you see this? No. Too much. Well, good morning and welcome to today's forum for candidates seeking one of the 2 Vigo County Commissioner seats. I'm Katie Shane. I'm the Membership and Communications Director here at the Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually filling in for President Kristen Craig today, who is not able to join in person, but certainly watching from home. Today's event is hosted by the Advocacy Committee of the Terre, Haute Chamber of Commerce. This group is committed to providing educational opportunities, just like this one today, about local, state, and federal government that will help provide critical information to our local business community. The format today is not a debate, it's a forum. There's going to be no back and forth between the candidates in order to ensure each candidate has the opportunity to respond first. We will begin responses in alphabetical order and then rotate for each response. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening and closing statement and 60 seconds to respond to each individual question. A recording of today's forum will be on the Chamber website and our YouTube page later today. And if you're watching now, you can watch it again on Facebook Live later. So I'd like to now move out of the way and introduce our candidates. The District 2 candidates: Jeff Fisher, a Democrat and Chief of the Terre Haute Fire Department; Mike Morris, Republican, owner of Morris Trucking and a current member of the Vigo County Council. The District 3 candidates: Pat Goodwin, Democrat and President of Tractor Tools Dept, and Chris Switzer, Republican, owner of Switzer Automotive and a current member of the Vigo County Council. Did I get it right, guys?
Those two, yeah. District 2 is Pat and I.
Oh, you know what?
I even text you.
I didn't write this, all right? So District 3 candidates: Jeff Fisher,
Yes.
Mike Morris. District 2, Pat Goodwin and Chris Switzer. God, thanks for keeping me honest, guys. All right, opening statements. I'd now like to begin. Each of you has 90-second opening statement. You can stay seated, you can stand up. I will start with Mr. Fisher.
Well, thank you. Good morning, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. We know this is unprecedented times, so this is creating, and I know some of the candidates here actually stated at different times, we need forums and we need to get the message out and speak. So thank you for putting this on. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Christy. Hope all is going well at home. My name is Jeff Fisher, and I am running for Vigo County Commissioner District 3. I've been married to my wife, Angel, for 37 years. My son, Bill, my daughter, Heather, and my son-in-law, Nick. If you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen the real stars of the show, and that's my dog, Bella, and my 3 grand dogs, Moose, Gunner, and Ginger. I've been a firefighter for 31 years. Actually, 1 month from today will be my 31st anniversary. Of 12 and a half of those years, I've been the fire chief. I've sat on many boards and committees, the Indiana Board of Fire Chiefs, the Board of Directors at United Way, and Breakfast Optimist Club, and also committees which consist of the Child Protective Review Board and Child Fatality Review Board. I manage 7 budgets with the fire department, just over $17.4 million. I've led this department through some really tough times, tax caps, and the coronavirus. My time is up. I got more to say, but I give it to you.
All right, thank you. And I'm actually getting a couple text messages from we'll say viewers or peanut gallery. Make sure when you get to the questions that you do speak up. We do have audio, and they said it's just okay. Anyway, 60 seconds. Mr. Goodwin, it's on to you. I'm sorry, 90 seconds.
My name is Pat Goodwin. I'm running for Commissioner, District 2. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event.
Before I get started, I wonder if we could just take a moment of silence. It was almost exactly 19 years ago that there were planes headed toward the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And if we could, let's just take a moment to remember that. Thank you. If you'd like to learn more about me, I would ask that you go to my website, which is goodwinforcommissioner.com, or my Facebook page, Goodwin for Commissioner, Goodwin for Vigo County Commissioner. There's a wealth of information there. We keep everything up indefinitely, so you can go back and see my record on issues and where I've served and what I've done. I look forward to a good forum this morning with lots of hard questions that we can try to give some different answers to. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Mr. Morris, you're up.
I'm Mike Morris, Republican candidate for Vigo County Commissioner, District 3. I'd like to thank each of you for viewing this question and answer forum hosted by the Terre Chamber of Commerce this morning. We have 3 children, all products of the Vigo County school system and graduate of Indiana University. One went to law school, one became a nurse, and one learned the trucking business. On July 19th, my lovely wife, Linda, and I celebrated our 49th wedding anniversary. I have served as president of the Wabash Valley Fair Association and currently as president of the Vigo County Council and the Wabash Valley Roadrunners, advocating for children's running and health through athletics. As commissioner, I want to bring construction of the new jail in on time and on budget. I want to improve our highway department to be in place to better respond to citizens' needs. And I want to plan for the maintenance of our many county buildings and continue to improve our roads. I have and will continue to promote business and business development in Vigo County.
Thank you, Mr. Morris and Mr. Switzer.
Good morning. I would also like to echo what Pat said. September 11th is an important day. Jeff, appreciate your service and police officers in our community. We just never know when something like that's going to happen. So everybody who stood up on that morning and ran into destruction, thank you for your service. My name is Chris Switzer. I am 32 years old. I have a 7-year-old daughter, Emma, that goes to Sugar Creek Consolidated, and a 4-year-old little boy that goes to his grandma's house. I'm a lifelong resident. I grew up on the south side of West Terre, Haute, where later we moved out to the county of West Terre, Haute off of Darwin Road area, and that's currently where I reside today. I first ran for office in 2014 for school board and got beat incredibly bad. Sucked it up and just moved on and thought about what I wanted to do for the future, and politics was still for me, I thought. So in 2018, I ran for office against a 2-term incumbent and beat them in District 2, which District 2 is almost a half moon shape of the west side of the county. It goes up into Shepherdsville, New Goshen, West Terre Haute, creates a Prairie Creek, and a sliver of Terre Haute. Over my last 19 months, almost 20 months on the council, I think we've been very conservative. I think we've done the right things. We moved in the right direction. I ask a lot of questions, and I hope that you learn a lot today. So thank you for having us.
Thank you all. All right, let's begin with the questions. Remember, you will have 60 seconds to answer each. Jessica right here is timing, and make sure you speak up. All right, question number, I'm sorry. Mr. Goodwin, we're going to start with you, okay? If you were to be elected commissioner, what specifically would be your top 3 priorities?
Well, we have to start with improving the internal mechanisms of county government. So we have to improve efficiency in county government. And there are many ways we can do that, but one is by embracing technology. There are a lot of ways that we can streamline the way we provide services to the community. We have to end the cronyism in Vigo County once and for all. So that means setting up a system of government where people are hired based on their qualifications, not based on who they know. Once we do those things, then we'll have a higher performing county government and we can start to work on some new areas that where I think we need to focus. The biggest being our public health. And I believe there's many ways that we can do that, but public health isn't just physical health, but it's also mental health and dealing with things like drug and alcohol addiction.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Mr. Morris, you're next. Do you want me to read the question again, or?
You said 3 topics, right?
What specifically would be your 3 to 4 priorities, top priorities?
Well, as commissioner, we're physical plant of the county, but we also appoint and manage several different departments. And one of those things is the IT department, and it can be improved at the county level. Another one is human resources. We have a human resource director. We've done some progress there. We need to do some more. And our current commissioners have done a good job at the highway department and restructuring of it, and it needs to continue, and Vigo County will see some very nice benefits from that.
Great, thank you. All right, just as going this way, Mr. Switzer, specifically the top 3 to 4 priorities.
I guess I would say I have a lot of personal priorities I would like to see accomplished, but you have to put the county first, of course. And as commissioner, you represent your district, but absolutely the whole county. Your top 3 duties as a commissioner is you look at your budgets and your finances and your payroll. Once you seek the council's approval on your budget, you can decide what to do from there with the money that's given to you by the council. It's weird now, Mike and I sit on the council, and we get to see the commissioner budgets now and go through them almost as if we have more power as a councilman than as a commissioner at this point. But once you get your budgets, your finances figured out, you can move down to economic development, see what's on the horizon, what's possibly coming, and then you can move down further into inclusion and diversity and housing and things like that. Multiple things I could say, but those would be my top 3.
Thank you. And Mr. Fisher.
Well, I assume this was going to be one of the questions, and it's a great question, and I can sum it up in 3 words: trust, communication, and marketing. My opponent in the primary was all about marketing, and I learned a lot from him from that. So we definitely need to market our area. Terre Haute is growing. It's growing in a great direction, and people know where Terre Haute is. They know what we're about. As I said earlier, I sit on the board of the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association, and Terre Haute is talked about a lot in these meetings. So we need to rebuild the trust between the elected officials and our community. I think there's a distrust there, and my job as a fire chief is to gain your trust and do the job that you hired me to do. And I will take that into the office of the commissioner. Communication, if there's no communication, everything breaks down. So you've got to have good communication with whoever is in office and the elected officials out there and our community leaders. So we need trust, communication, and marketing.
Thank you. I'm going to remind you guys all to speak up. Again, just a couple of messages.
We need to move forward.
I think you're okay.
Just yell.
Just project. Project.
Outside voices.
Yeah. Scream.
All right. Question number 2. This year has been full of unfathomable challenges for everyone, but especially our local business community. Earlier this year, the Chamber, along with other business resource providers, created the West Central Business Hub in part to assess the impact of COVID on the business community. 2-part question. As commissioner, what role would you play in long-term COVID-19 economic recovery efforts, and what would the main areas of emphasis be? Okay, Mr. Morris, we're going to start with you. So what would the role in long-term recovery efforts be, and what would be your main areas of emphasis?
The long-term, I guess, short-term, the county is compiling the data and trying to recoup some of the funds that have been allocated for those recovery. Long term is my picture totally, because I want business and business development, and that gives us jobs for our young people to retain people in the community. And I just don't, I think those things have never stopped, whether there was a virus or whether it was not a virus. So I just really don't, I don't see my emphasis changing very much due to the virus, although I have been very sad for some business people that I know that have struggled tremendously.
Thank you. Mr. Switzer?
I think one of the nicest things that we saw today was the roads were blocked off because of the barricades freezing the streets. I mean, we're all excited to have this happen. Last weekend or the weekend before, whatever had happened, but now it's back on. I guess as a county leader is just to be a leader. When your business advocates to you as commissioner, or businesses do, or small businesses, and they want you to, go yell at the state house for some type of funding or some type of help, you do that. I think all four of us have an opportunity here to just be a great leader. As Mr. Fisher said, communication. Somewhere in the lines of the last many years, our communication has been lost. We're not very well spoken. So I guess, just being that leader and that shoulder to lean on would be a great way to start good economic recovery.
Mr. Fisher?
Thank you. Couple good questions there. Long term, it's going to take us a while to get out of this. Our community is a great community. Our community is a great community. We always rise to the level that we need to get through our difficult times. So, absolutely, this event starting today, and I believe every weekend for I don't know how long, is a great event. But we have to be smart about it. We have to stay safe, and we have to make sure that we use our local businesses. Small businesses is the backbone of our community. It's nice to have our larger businesses here in our community, but the small businesses are our backbone. So we need to patronize them. We need to use them as much as possible. So we need more events. I'm all about fundraisers and events. So I will enjoy this event coming up this weekend. And 30 seconds is just not enough time.
It's 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
30 is the.
She's giving you a warning that it's 30.
Let's go back to 90 seconds.
All right, and Mr. Goodwin.
Well, when you're faced with a really difficult situation, you look for the silver lining, and I think there are a couple for our community. The first is that, first of all, COVID-19 is going to change the world, the United States, forever, and in two important ways. One is I think there are going to be a lot of people that live in very high density areas that are going to be considering whether that's the way they want to live in the future. They may be looking for a new home where people aren't so packed together, more susceptible to things like infectious disease. So we can market ourselves that way. The second is people have changed their purchasing habits through this, and a lot of them will never go back to the old way. The idea of purchasing online is something people are getting very comfortable with. We are in the geographic center of the country. We've got I-70, US 41, railroads. We have a great opportunity to market ourselves as a hub for internet-based businesses.
Thank you. And I appreciate everybody speaking up. As we said, COVID has changed a lot of things, and technology, sometimes we don't get it exactly right. Next question. As we all know, infrastructure is critical to the growth and development of any county. In fact, a variety of infrastructure improvements were identified as one of the key components of the CU and Terre Haute 2025 Community Plan. What is your plan for ensuring the county has funds available to pursue infrastructure and capital projects? Mr. Switzer, we're going to start with you.
I think it's important to realize that we are in a unique opportunity as a county, as we are 2 counties out of 92 that are currently in the process of building a casino. That will ignite more people into our community and will also ignite more cash flow into our community, which means more tax revenue. What you or who you decide to elect up here will decide what we do with that tax revenue, whether it be infrastructure, community development, diversity, inclusion things, or drug addiction things, or things like that. We already have many things in place to work on infrastructure, and we are reviewing that right now in the budget. And I just look forward to seeing what the next few years bring with new revenue and how we can move forward on different infrastructure ideas.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Well, absolutely. We've got some amazing things and creative things coming to Terre and Vigo County, our community. And I look forward to when these things open. We have to, I said it before and I'll say it again, small business, and these 3 gentlemen know because they're all businessmen. Small business is the backbone of this community. So the communication I spoke of earlier, be it in Indianapolis or here in Terre Haute or across the country, we have to communicate. We have to have these relationships with these elected officials and community leaders to bring these businesses here. I don't know if we're going to see a Toyota around our area here, North American Lighting, but I guarantee we'll see a pizza shop or a dress shop coming to Terre Haute. We just, I believe we had 2 ribbon cuttings or 2 businesses open this week. So we are getting there. The funding, we have to do everything we can. Continue to communicate with Indianapolis to get the funding here to help with these small businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Goodwin?
The good news is we have enough money to take care of our infrastructure. We should not need to raise any more taxes to do that. We need to make sure that we always have the match money for grant opportunities. An example would be the Community Crossings Grant that I'm happy to say that Vigo County is currently utilizing. I want to say hats off to the County Highway Department under the leadership of County Engineer Larry Robbins. They're doing more road work this year than has been done in a long time. And they're doing the work right. And so I applaud them for that. I'd like to see even more of it. I think as we get more efficient with the day-to-day operations of county government, it will create more funding for additional infrastructure work. And so I believe that will just be a natural byproduct of the process of improvement.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Well, I've been on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for several years. That's our long-range planning for road infrastructure. There's more plans, obviously, than there is funding for those plans. But a lot of those things have been implemented, and again, as Pat said, with matching funds. Now, to keep the funds going to those projects has been a struggle in county government because of the courts and the jail system. Those things have to continue to be brought in line, and there's some things that can be implemented that will help to contain those costs, I think, and therefore have more money going to our infrastructure.
Thank you. Next question. We received many questions for today's forum about the new Vigo County Jail. This project has been the focus of many conversations, but what we want to specifically discuss today is how you think community services, specifically those related to addiction and recovery, intersect with this project long term. Mr. Fisher, we'll start with you.
That's a deep, serious question. Absolutely, it affects our jail. I think Sheriff Plassey just announced in the news this week that he's over capacity. I see on a daily basis in my line of work, and plus I volunteer on Fridays at a food pantry, the homeless and the addiction that people have in our community. It's a serious problem. our jails are going to continue to fill up unless we get these programs in place to help people with the addiction. I know firsthand, I have a family member that is addicted and definitely needs the care that it's going to take to get them out of this addiction. It's a serious problem in our community. It's going to take longer than 60 seconds to talk about it, but yeah, it's going to affect our jail and communication out there with our people and the authorities in place to fix this problem.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwin?
Well, our focus should be on trying to keep from filling that new jail once it is built. And the way that you do that is through prevention. If you were to ask a law enforcement officer what percentage of the calls that you respond to, particularly the ones where you are in harm's way, where there is a dangerous situation, what percentage of them are people with mental illness, drug addiction problems, homelessness, or alcoholism? And they would tell you a very, very high percentage. So as they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Putting these folks in jail is not helping them. It's just continuing the cycle, and they end up back in jail over and over again. We have to try to head this off of the past with a greater focus on improving public health.
Mr. Morris?
Well, I would love to see our new jail have vacancies in it. And I think that's what everyone is striving for. But at some point in time, citizens of the county have to have their safety protected. And there's people that need to be in jail that are in jail. And that's to protect our safety. So that's one of our requirements as county government, to provide that. And that's being done and it's being handled. So the next thing is there is a program that's under consideration to be funded right now at the county. And it's been presented, and it will start to address some of those things, what they call a dual diagnosis system, repetitive people coming back to the court system. And again, that's one of the ways that you can start to reduce the cost of this court system by keeping people out of the system.
Thank you. Mr. Switzer?
So there are multiple things we can do. It's no secret that I feel like Hamilton Consider could do more, and I'll go ahead and call them out on that. They receive a large amount of money from the county and various counties all around Vigo County. There are other organizations like Next Steps, many other houses, non-for-profits that are ready and willing to help people in jail. And I'd love to work with Sheriff Classy to get them in the jail. We're building a brand new jail. We're going to have plenty of office space. They deserve a few office spots in there to immediately interact with the people that are going to jail with some type of addiction issue, alcoholism, drugs, mental health, anything like that. They're ready and willing. They meet every week, Wabash Valley Recovery Alliance. I know for a fact that they want to help and they can help and they're ready to help. We just got to let them in the door so they can offer the help that they have worked so hard for themselves, most of them being addicted to something and are overcoming the odds. And they're the people that need to be speaking to the people that are going to jail.
Thank you. The next question. As communities around the state prepare for anticipated revenue loss due to COVID-19, what opportunities do you see for cost savings, particularly in regards to combining city and county services? Mr. Goodwin, we're going to start with you.
Thank you. It's no secret that I am a fan of unified city-county government, but I recognize that is a very long-term project. And you don't start by talking about combining the governments. You talk about increased cooperation, sharing resources whenever you can, combining individual departments when you can, trying to have interlocal agreements that prevent you from having overlapping services, trying to unify city and county codes so that they look the same to a developer coming in town, for example. All these things that we do would improve efficiency and lower cost and help us through what is probably going to be a pretty tight financial time here for the next couple of years.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Well, at our council meeting, we talked several times about and had input from all council members on loss of revenue. We had our county engineer and Larry Robbins talking about the motor vehicle tax, and it looks like it's going to be one of those key things that goes down and it's starting to come back. Convention and Visitors Bureau revenues down, obviously. Property tax delays, people spreading their tax out, not paying them on time. So yeah, there's a lot of revenue demands. We're going to get through it. Vigo County is strong, it's solid, and we're going to get through it well. But the combining of services, Weights and Measures was combined a few years ago. There's other things that could be done. They to the individual, they make common sense. To try to do it politically is a little harder.
Thank you.
But I'm up to the challenge.
Thank you. Mr. Switzer?
We have already in the county been combining services within the county. We can see with our highway department and engineering department, Larry Robbins is probably one of the most fantastic gems our county has at this point. He can wear a lot of hats and get things accomplished. Doing things as a kind of unified government with the city of Terre Haute, I don't see that ever happening. I think it would be years and years and years away before something like that would happen. We're just too small a community to combine things like that. But within the county, there's one thing I guess I could say I would love to see combined with the city of Terre Haute, and that's 311. I think the county and city can work together with trash pickup services and things like that. If you call one number, it will go to either the county or the city, and we can work together to get that accomplished. And we may just have to give that to Larry too. We'll see what he says.
Mr. Fisher?
Well, I've gone on record in the past, and I'll say it again, I'm not a fan of Unicode, but I do believe that there are some agencies, some departments that we can combine to better serve our citizens and our county people. Trash pickup is one, and the 311 is excellent thing that we can do. I know as well as others the damage that the coronavirus has done to this community. As you know, we lost a firefighter due to the coronavirus, and it's devastating what it's done to our community. But this is a strong community, and we will get through it. We always prevail. We always move forward and get the job done. It's difficult times, but we need to stay abreast of the opportunities that we have before us. There's the CARES Act out there that people can research and get their wishes done.
Oh, sorry. Jessica's a stickler on the time. Next question. What sources do you rely on for key information about potential projects and improvements that might benefit our community? Mr. Morris, we're going to start with you.
What sources do I refer to?
What sources do you rely on for key information about potential projects and improvements that might benefit our community?
Well, I guess I seem like I'm fortunate. I being in a county council, it seems like people want money for these projects, so I get in on the ground floor of them pretty quick. They request for budgeting. So as a commissioner, that's an implementation of some of those projects, and that's what I was looking forward to. A little more of a hands-on type of a change from one thing to another. County governments. I don't know how many people say, "Oh, you're on the city council." No, I'm on the county council. Citizens don't necessarily understand the structure of county government. They provide a lot of services, from the recorder to the surveyor, the auditor to the treasurer, and it's cooperation to do that, and that's how you learn how to what's going on in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Switzer?
There's a couple ways that I keep my ear to the ground, I guess you could say. In the Tribune Star, they publish when people finance a large amount of money. As a councilman, I always call that person who's financing and say, hey, what the heck are you doing? You know, are you investing in Terre Haute? How can we help? Same thing, all that stuff goes online. Same thing when people pull a permit. You know, 2 permits were pulled in downtown Terre Haute, and I reached out to both of them immediately, a new pizza restaurant and a new coffee shop. I mean, I think that downtown Terre Haute over the next 5 years is going to be one of the busiest growing communities in the state of Indiana with our convention center. I often reach out to Sullivan County Council, a couple members down there, and Clay County Council, a couple members there, to see what they're doing and how we can help, or if they can reach out to the Terre Haute Chamber, West Central Indiana, and see how we can all help. So it's just back to being a strong leader for the community and listening and understanding people's wants and needs and trying to get out front of before they have any issues.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Communication and relationships. Those are key sources to help our community thrive. I have several fire chiefs throughout the state and the country that I've known or met that ask me, what are we doing here? What's the Terre Haute Fire Department doing? What's your community doing? So, and then also, what are you doing on your end? So relationships and communications is a huge source to our community. Being transparent and honest with people. If people don't trust you, they're not going to work with you. And that's huge when it comes to an elected official. Anybody in general. No politics, no struggles, just good, working, honest communication goes a long way.
Thank you.
Okay, could you reread the question?
I can. What sources do you rely on for key information about potential projects and improvements that might benefit our community?
Okay. When it comes to new ideas for our community, first of all, I do things that a lot of us do, which is I do watch national publications to see what other communities our size are doing, things that they're successful with in their downtowns or with new developments or with partnerships with the private sector. I try to see if there are best practices we can bring back to our community. But frankly, there are so many good opportunities and ideas coming from people in this community right now. And I would like to give voice to more of those ideas. A great example is Wabash Valley Riverscape that has been going on now for 15 years. And I'd like to see us give it more support and help move projects and plans forward for Riverscape. And that's something I look forward to having the opportunity to do.
Thank you. All right, next question. And Mr. Switzer, we're going to start with you on this one. Funding for public safety is always a topic of discussion in any local election. We received several questions about that with that concern in mind. As a commissioner, how would you balance funding for public safety alongside the many other needs we have already discussed? Those other needs being infrastructure improvements and declining revenue. So as a commissioner, how would you balance funding for public safety along with the things that we have already discussed? Mr. Switzer.
Well, the council in 2018 raised the LOIT so we have the ability to fund almost anything public safety at this point. Something to realize is you have 70,000 plus people in the city of Terre Haute. The Terre Haute Police Department has around 160 police officers. Outside of the city of Terre Haute, you have another 40,000 or so, 30, 40,000 people with only 42 merit deputies. So you're talking one merit deputy per 1,000 people. To want to take money and pull money from them, I don't see that as ever being an option. To invest more money in them or to add deputies or to teach deputies on top of all the duties they already have, ways to deal with mental illness and things in that nature, we should invest in things like that. Or we should invest in our community organizations with drug addiction or or things like that to also step in and maybe travel with a police officer to understand things that are going on in our community. I'm wholeheartedly behind public safety. I think they do so much and a lot of people take it for granted. So, yeah, that's it.
Mr. Fisher?
Well, I don't know too much about public safety. Just joking. Public safety is near and dear to my heart, always has been and always will be. We have to, and it's got to be a priority. Nobody wants to live in a community where they don't feel safe. Grants are a great source for public safety. I'm happy to say that the Terre Fire Department received 2 SAFER grants back to back. That's unheard of in the state of Indiana. SAFER grant is staffing adequate firefighter and rescue. So grants are out there, they're available. Our volunteer firefighters do an excellent job. I know they're struggling because they're low on manpower. So we have to make it attractive for our firefighters to want to become. And anybody that calls my office or emails me about becoming a firefighter, I tell them to reach out to a volunteer fire department first, get involved there, and you'll know if that's the career path for you. Police officers, law enforcement, we've got to continue to fund them, and there's funding available out there. We just need to reach for it.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwin?
The tax increase in 2018 added $15 million a year to local government specifically for public safety. Now, I was opposed to that tax increase at the time for 2 reasons. The first was I felt that the plan for the jail was flawed and that there was going to be too much money spent on the new jail and that the jail was being built too large in phase 1. The second reason I didn't like it is I felt that it was very unfair to the township fire departments. They were getting too small of a share of that new revenue. Now, after the tax was passed, they actually realized that the law that they enacted it under didn't give any to the local volunteer fire departments. And so the county council came up with a formula that would provide some funding to those volunteer fire departments. I think it's inadequate. They get somewhere around $260,000 out of that $15 million. I think it should be more.
Mr. Morris?
Well, you got 2 parts here. One is I've helped structure the expense of, or the placement of those tax dollars. As county council, as commissioner, I don't have that option necessarily. So as commissioner, what I would do would keep the cost of the jail on time. Whether you, when the argument's passed, it's coming out of the ground. The jail's coming out of the ground. So the change orders and et cetera, that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars need to be minimized. All right, some of those taxes are specific bonding of the jail, period. It goes away after the bonds are paid off. So the other one goes away after another 18 years. We did fund the local fire departments, the volunteer fire departments, and we did structure that to get more money out to them with that money.
Thank you. I just want to say you guys are all doing good and we're in the home stretch, okay?
Keep the voices up.
Yep. The next question, how do you intend to work with organized labor in our community? Mr. Fisher, you're going to start.
I already do. I am a card-carrying union member of the Terre Haute Firefighters Local 758. My daughter works for the labor union, and my son-in-law is a pipe fitter. I am a strong supporter of the unions. Unions just want a fair shake. I know I've received several calls, Saturn Pet Food down south. There's some issues down there, and I know it's been addressed to some of the council members of what's going on down there. And we need to look into that. Our local labor unions need to work. My son-in-law, for example, has to travel out of state to find work when there's local work right here in our community. We got some things on the horizon. casino's gonna be built. The convention center's gonna be built. The Veterans Hospital is gonna be built. So we're gonna have some construction going on here. I know I'm out of time, but we're gonna have some construction going on here, and our local labor can do the job. We don't need to bus people in from out of state to do it. I'm a big supporter in local labor.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwin?
It starts with listening. 2 weeks ago, I was fortunate enough to get to meet with the Central Labor Council, and rather than going and talking to them and telling them what I was going to do, I said, let me hear your concerns. And they were very specific about some of their concerns. And I learned some things that I didn't know. We have a responsible bidder ordinance in both the city and county here that has some requirements about what kind of people can work on projects. They've been passed in both city and county, but we don't seem to be enforcing them.
Correct.
That puts labor unions, or specifically contractors that use unionized labor, at a disadvantage. So I even found out that a current county jail construction is not following the responsible bidder ordinance. So job one, when I get in there, is let's enforce the laws we already have.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Well, I'm not, I've talked to several of the labor people, very glancing below, I guess. I think I understand their concerns. One thing they said is just to use local labor, period. And one of the first things that's asked of anybody that goes before the council as a request for abatement is, are you going to use local labor? So that's the start. And of course, and then the enforcement mechanisms to do that are always available and need to be enforced. That's just the way it is. We have things that are in place to manage these things.
Thank you. Mr. Switzer?
The RBO, responsible bidder ordinance, actually just needs to be rewritten and passed unanimously by both councils to make it pro Vigo County, pro Terre, Haute. I get the opportunity to work on a lot of fleet vehicles at my shop, and with that comes many union workers, and I always get to listen in or hear what they have to say about the way things are going in Vigo County. In regards to Saturn Pet Care, we are investigating that. We have Council Administrator Miller looking into that. Phase 1, they got a tax abatement. Phase 2, I think they pulled an abatement, so I'm not so sure what's going on there, but we are investigating. It's just important as commissioner, back to the leadership role, if you're a good leader and you're a responsible leader and you listen, you will get your union people to stay here in Terre Haute because there will be more economic development in the long run. And like I said, we're still ahead of 90 other counties in the state of Indiana right now with our future development. So I look forward to what happens at the 46 corridor.
Thank you. The next question, what steps or policies would you implement to ensure county employees and resources are being utilized properly? Mr. Goodwin, we're going to start with you.
It's all about accountability. Part of the commissioner's role is to make sure operations are running smoothly in the county annex. You have to be there. You have to be managing by walking around sometimes. But most importantly, as a leader or as an owner of an organization, you have to make clear what the expectations are. You need to back up your employees when they're doing their job the way they're supposed to. They need to know that you've got their back. But you also need to make sure they understand that there is accountability that goes along with that. And as long as people are willing to work hard, do their jobs, be professionals, then you get great performance. And if they're not willing to do that, then you have to ask some people to move on.
Mr. Morris?
Well, it's kind of an interesting situation, and again, as it changes from going council to commissioner, you're supervising and directly supervising many more people. I mean, at county council, we're not supervising anybody but ourselves. So and this is one of the reasons that I want to move to be a commissioner. I want to be able to provide that leadership for those people in the county government. And I think that it's been lacking sometimes. And I don't think anybody can argue that we can improve. We have an opportunity. I'm just so very optimistic for the county right now. We have an opportunity to make some improvements because we're financially solid and we have these projects coming along. And now's the time to do some of these things. And I think it's leadership.
Mr. Switzer?
One important policy, if you're a commissioner, be a commissioner. Don't show up to work for a couple hours a day and then leave and not be there to listen to your department heads. I keep going back to the leadership aspect. There's a reason why you have an office in the commissioner's office. It's so you can sit there and listen to your department heads, or you can travel the annex and understand what's going on. Go to the highway department, go to the fire department, speak to them, see what's going on, listen to them, understand what's happening. The policies are already there. If you want to develop more policies, you need to talk to human resources and have human resources go to your department heads and ask them what's going on and how they can help. There's many things you can do, but back to the leadership aspect of the whole deal, if you're a good leader and you listen and you understand the struggles that your departments are having, you fix those, you try to spearhead those, and you just move forward.
Mr. Fisher?
Absolutely, good points. It starts at the top, good leadership. But we got to remember, the backbone of these jobs is our workers, county and city workers. You've got to have their back. You've got to be approachable. You got to be accessible for these people. You got to know what's going on. You got to have good people under you. I'm fortunate enough to have a good staff at the fire department, and you got to have a good staff in county government. The people out there that work for you, you've got to know that you care. You got to make sure that one thing, whether it's city or county, our workers need to know that they're going to be held to a higher standard, and because they're being paid by you, the taxpayers. So with that said, be approachable, be visible, and good leadership, and make sure you have good people in these department heads positions that do their job too.
All right, last question and then closing statements. You're almost there, guys. Cultivating economic opportunities is critically important to our community. As we look to expand our work in key sectors, including defense and tourism, what is your approach to economic development, and what role would you like to play in the process? Mr. Morris, we're going to begin with you.
Well, I don't want to oversimplify this, but we funded RJL Associates a couple of years ago, started doing that. And they've done one very simple thing, started to coordinate the efforts of many entities within the community. And it's been amazing. And this is one of the things that, as a commissioner, I will sit here in front of you and explain our positive things about our community. But I can't speak for the city. I can't speak for the Chamber of Commerce necessarily. I can't speak for all these other entities. So I believe that that's done one of the largest things for our community. We have a chance for this air wing to come to Terre, Haute now. And those kinds of things, there's just a good chance of that.
Mr. Switzer?
Can you repeat the question again?
I can. Cultivating economic opportunities is critically important to our community. As we look to expand our work in key sectors, including defense and tourism, what is your approach to economic development, and what role would you play in the process?
To be involved. You know, as a commissioner, you want to have a seat at that table to know everything that's happening on the 46 corridor area. And I think that development you're speaking about is where a major impact is going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years. To be a punching bag for everybody, to ask questions, you know, to hear all the questions and then go to the state and figure out the answer to those questions. We're just in that such unique opportunity of economic development here with the F-35s, the casino, the convention center, our cross-country races, people coming into Terre Haute, Vigo County. And I don't want to say that we're just going to be a tourism community because it starts with small business, but the economic development is here. It's just we have to act on it and act accordingly.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Well, in my current position, I've been able to meet with the airport, sit in on some board meetings, and talk to other community leaders in our area. Steve Witt with Economic Development. Just met with him this week to talk about some things. We got some exciting things coming, and I look forward to be. I was able to have some hands-on with some of these projects that we got going on now in my capacity, and I look forward, if elected your commissioner, to be hands-on with these projects. And I know we got many more to come. Terre Haute is on the map. People know where we're at and what we're about. Quickly, I just met a lady a few weeks ago. My wife and I was in southern Indiana, and this lady went to ISU back in '78. She was talking about going to school with Larry Bird. And one of the questions she asked me is, does Terre Haute still stink? I said, no, you would not believe Terre Haute now. The smell is gone. We got so much coming. We got a casino, convention center, this. And she was so ecstatic. She was so happy. She said, I got to get back to Terre Haute. The smell kept her away. The smell is gone. People are going to come back. People are going to come here. And we got exciting things coming. And I'm looking forward to be a part of that in the future too.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwin?
There are some things that we can do directly. The commissioners do have appointments on things like boards that have direct effect on economic development, like the Redevelopment Commission, and they have a spot at the table at the Economic Development Corporation. And obviously, commissioners work closely with places like the Chamber of Commerce here. But there's so much that we can do that is indirect, that leads to long-term success. We need for this to be a community where business leaders want to come and locate and bring their employees. And when we have that tourism going on and we have visitors here, those are our customers. We need for them to have a great experience. So we've got to focus on being an attractive community, and we've got to focus on being a community that has a great quality of life. And if we do that, the economic development will come.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. You completed the questions. We're going to do closing statements. You have 90 seconds for your closing statements. That's how we're going to wrap up. And Mr. Switzer, we're going to start with you.
I'd just like to say that I'm a very approachable person, but I'm also a pretty aggressive leader. I'm very vocal on social media, and I'm willing to call people out when they are deserving of such. Too often we see a lot of turf battles in between Terre Haute and Vigo County, and that just has to simply end. I mean, the Terre Haute Chamber did a great thing the past couple of years of getting people together to understand what this community wants to move forward. And I had the opportunity to attend a lot of those meetings to the point of Kristen was asking me why I was there because I've already voted a couple times. It's just important to understand what we all want, and we all have to be kind to each other and get bought in on what we want is best for the community of Terre Haute. So as being a leader for you, as a councilman now, I think I've done great things to be a leader into the future. You know, I'm young, my children are here. We're not going anywhere for a long time. I'm 30 years away from retirement. So I think the youth of me and having the opportunity to lead as a young leader, to represent students at ISU and the younger generation of this community is very important and vital to the success of Vigo County. So early voting starts October 6th. I would appreciate your vote. If you have any questions, you can go to voteswitzer.com or christophervigo.com. They go to the same spot, or you can reach out to me on Facebook, or my phone number is readily available anywhere. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Well, again, thank you for the chamber for hosting this event. It's very important for candidates to get out and get their message across, especially during these unprecedented times. Now more than ever, we need elected officials that are hardworking, trustworthy, and honest. Hopefully, I've proven to you over my 31 years in the fire service and 12 and a half years as fire chief that I am one of those people. The years in my current position prepare me for this next chapter in my life is to be your commissioner. The relationships I've built over the years have groomed me and taught me that I believe I am the right person for this office. I'm not a politician. I will be an elected official. I just want to get that point across. If you want someone that will truly listen and hear your needs and hear what you got to say, I'm your man. You want somebody to work hard for you, then I'm your man. If you want somebody that's not afraid to be in the heat, I'm definitely your man. I'm a person who believes in communication, teamwork, and does his homework before he makes a tough decision. I truly care about this community, and I will work hard for you. I want to thank Mr. Goodwin for his remarks at the beginning and a moment's silence for all the people that were lost in the 9/11 events 19 years ago. 343 firefighters lost their lives. My name is Jeff Fisher. I want to be your next commissioner. So on November 3rd, please vote for me, show me your support, and remember, fish for commission. Thank you.
Mr. Goodwin?
When I was considering running for commissioner, I asked myself, what is it that the people of Vigo County want out of their commissioners? And I truly don't believe that they want superheroes. What they want is pretty simple. They want a commissioner who will constantly be working to improve the services the county government provides. They want a commissioner who will try to do that at the lowest cost possible, try to not raise taxes unless it's absolutely necessary. They want a commissioner that will treat them fairly. They want a commissioner that doesn't play favorites. They want to be able to have the same opportunity, not more, but the same opportunity as everyone else in our community. I felt like I met the job qualifications. I've been a guy who's always fought for the underdog. I have fought for fairness. I have stood up against corruption. And sometimes that has cost me, but I've done it anyway. I'm a guy as a small business owner who's always trying to work to figure out how to get more done in the most efficient way that I can. And I will bring that experience to county government. I would very much appreciate your support this fall. Pat Goodwin for County Commissioner, District 2.
Mr. Morris?
Thanks. Well, look, I'm proven. I've got a record to stand on. And I'm glad to discuss that with anyone at any time. I'm dedicated to Vigo County by all the things that I've served on and the things I've tried to move ahead. I'm very passionate. It doesn't come out sometimes, but I love this area. I've visited many other areas over the years, and I can't wait to get back to Vigo County. I'm experienced. I bring a budget in on time and on budget with the council. And I bring leadership, and I believe that's what we need at the commissioner position. And, you know, and that's listening, and all those things go with that capacity. And above all, I'm optimistic about this community. I just think it's a great place, and there's good things happening. Time to continue.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. I want to thank everyone that joined us this morning, the four of you and everybody that bared with our technical difficulties or low audio. If you want to watch this again or missed some part of it, a recording will be available on the Chamber website and our YouTube channel a little bit later today. And of course, do not forget to vote on November 3rd. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Man, you did it in an hour.
Boom.
That's the
We almost-
that's the shortest forum I've ever been.
We almost cut one out.
Just say the recording's off.
WTWO is on their way.